Hello viewers, welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And this morning, let us talk about Starlink versus G60 from China. So this is America versus China, and the ZANU PF government, the ZANU PF-led government, as I always say, is in panic. And I'm going to prove to you that these people are in panic. So this is Derek Goto Emrakashi, a ZANU PF member, and he says something very important on Twitter, which we need to closely look at so that we understand the reason why we have policy hiccups in the nation of Zimbabwe and why ZANU PF government can never be trusted. So Derek Goto says the Zimbabwe satellite internet choice, China's G60 versus America's Starlink, and the question of trust and reliability. So we need to talk about trust, we need to talk about reliable. Can G60 be reliable more than Starlink? Or can Starlink be reliable more than G60? That is the issue we need to deal with here. And we are going to base everything based on what ZANU PF think. So Derek Goto is saying that I gather that G60 or Guowang, the satellite internet services from China, are currently under consideration by Potras, which means the Zimbabwe Telecommunications Regulatory Authority is actually thinking to have G60 from China than to have Starlink, which is owned by Elon Musk, a South African, but here is labeled as an American entrepreneur because he's operating from America. So they say it is undeniable that China stands as a clear choice for Zimbabwe, as well as any other nation that prioritizes its sovereignty. But we are going to explain this. When you are talking about China, everything is controlled by the Chinese government, which means the Chinese government will have access or who can spy each and every person who is using such internet on behalf of the government of Zimbabwe, and also can gather data on the government of Zimbabwe as a government. But if you take a look on Elon Musk, you have an option of using a roaming service, which means when you are using a roaming service, it's most difficult kuti munge muchitreswa munge muchiona kuti how your operations, it's difficult for you to be spied on, because let's say you're operating something very important, you can use another person to buy a roaming gadget for you, which is Starlink, and you can use it in Zimbabwe, but you have purchased it maybe in Rwanda, which means the Zimbabwean government can prioritize movement of its sensitive data through the use of roaming. I'm talking about the government itself. And they are considering to have the Chinese G60 over the Starlink. Starlink is more safer in my own view than the Chinese gadget. Remember, there is a building which was offered by China. I think that is the African Union building. And what happened is that they found out that there were spying cameras years later, but it was built by the Chinese. Later on, they found out that there was something which was spying on them. And it was not something which they took lightly. But we continue to see our governments prioritizing the Chinese over any other. So if you take a look on right now what is happening, satellite internet is available in Zimbabwe and is being provided by various companies. And it's most likely from China. I believe that there is one from China, there is another from UK. And if you take a look on the other from UK, it's way cheaper than the other one from China. And if you take a look on what China is offering right now, it's too expensive, because for 30 gig, you have to part ways with 180 US dollars. And if you are an individual who uses internet heavily, 30 gig will not even last for a week. So you'd understand that if you say 180 180 180 180 180 by 4, for you to be able to to have internet for the whole month, that is 4 weeks multiplied by 180 per week, you'd understand that it won't be viable for you to get in unlimited for that satellite. Something you have to pay around $600 for you to get unlimited. That is the reason why you see these satellite services have been rolled out in clinics, in various government schools, everywhere, but it's not being used effectively, because for them to be on unlimited, they have to part ways with $600. And honestly speaking, Team Zimbabwe, that is not economical. But Starlink, you are parting ways with around $53, less than $100 for unlimited. So if it is a school, take a look on how many users can connect to Starlink. Then distance-wise, the router can cover the whole school, one router. It can connect a lot of people. It can cover one school, the whole school. Then also, it's cheaper, less than $100 for use. And it doesn't need installers from outside the school. People can actually install themselves, which means Starlink is way better. So whatever China is offering, has been offering and will offer, cannot be equated to what China is offering. This company called Starlink, Elon Musk has been an independent man with a different mindset. When he came to X, when he took over Twitter, he liberalized what was happening on Twitter. A lot of people who were being banned from Twitter now have access to X, led by Elon Musk, which means Elon is a different person than all other business people. He's a reliable man. He's a man who does things differently. Donald Trump was banned. I believe that was brought back. Every person was banned. A lot of people were brought back to X, and they're now operating. So for someone to say this is because Starlink is operating from America, then will be affected by the policies and so forth, that is simply propaganda. That is the reason why when Elon Musk wants to bring Starlink, he goes to Portras, then is given a license. And when you are given a license, there are terms and conditions which must be met on that license. When Starlink is operating from Zimbabwe, it will be working on terms and conditions of their license, which means they will be guided by the government of Zimbabwe. Which means if they are told to shut down the internet, they will shut down all satellites within Zimbabwe, or all satellites operating from Zimbabwe. They'll be shut down because they will be working under the license of Zimbabwe. But the danger of banning Starlink is it has started with those within the government. They are already using Starlink themselves on roaming. So what it means is these people will continue to use Starlink on roaming. It's more dangerous because you cannot regulate Starlink, which is on roaming, because it is being regulated in Zambia. So if Zambia doesn't say shut down this internet, it won't shut down in Zimbabwe. If Mozambique doesn't say shut down this internet, it will not shut down from Zimbabwe, which means you are promoting lawlessness, and more importantly, you are making a bad precedent and a security threat. You're creating a condition where Zimbabwe will become a security threat to itself, because people will be using Starlink and on roaming randomly. People will always find ways to use those gadgets, and you will not be able to trace kuti this person is using Starlink pakatu. You'll not be able to actually trace it and fish out everybody. So I believe that if the government wants to be sincere, they must not focus on people like Vana Derego Tovarakashi, who do not think widely. They just think pavari papapo, but they will run propaganda, and that will be just a sign of people who are in panic. Why are you panicking? Legalize Starlink, regulate Starlink, make sure that everything you do is being done accordingly. Right now, you cannot stop Starlink because One day you will hear Starlink say, okay, we have removed months, so you can, if you are on roaming, you can renew online, reconnect online. You see those things coming in the future. What it means is people will simply buy Starlink, wotogara nadzo kudzimba dzavo, and you never know kuti people are using Starlink. And the government of Zimbabwe is losing taxes. That is point number one. People will continue to make payments. Vashandisa maMastercard, vashandisa other avenues. People can even pay for a year because 53 times 12 is affordable. Somebody with money can simply pay for a year. All those things need to be considered when you are dealing with these issues. But the people who plan this for within ZANU PF are some emotions, and they always put the nation in more trouble. So they are talking about national security threats. They are talking about shutting the internet down. They're talking about all sorts of things. But it will be very, very difficult for you to be able to shut down the internet when you are not, when Starlink is not operating from Zimbabwe than when it is operating from Zimbabwe. Secondly, I don't see households, I don't see every person using Starlink at this moment in time. These are businesses. These are people who are going online. These are schools. These are institutions. And I don't see institutions and other people who are doing business being security threats. When you're shutting down internet, you are shutting down internet to break communication between the sources and the recipients, which means if you cut down internet or if you shut down internet on the recipients, the sources will have no one to watch their content, which means there is no way every person in Zimbabwe will be using Starlink. The majority of the people in Zimbabwe will continue to use mobile network. They will continue to use Econet. They will continue to use Net1. They will continue to use other networks for internet. But this internet, we need it so that our institutions and individuals start to work properly, start to do business properly. Those who want internet which is stable, those who are installing my satellites for internet, those who are installing my fiber optics, those are the people who need to be served, not everybody. So if you take a look on the cost, the kit costs around $400 to $500 if Starlink is working within your country. What it means is not everybody is going to afford that. Not everybody is going to afford that. You have to buy it when it is profitable for you. So you see, this is just a scapegoat being used by ZANU PF people who just yet for the sake of yet. Let us take a look on the issues being used by Zimbabwe at this moment in time. We are using the US dollar. In all transactions, we are using the US dollar. Why are we not saying, let us stop to use the US dollar because it's coming from the people who got PAMA sanctions? We are using my money transfer platforms from America. Yes, when you are sending money from other country to Zimbabwe, you are using American platforms. Mavana Mastercard. Who operates on a Mastercard? Who operates on a Visa? Who are the owners? Who are the owners of the money transfer systems? Ndevapi vanhu vari kurana all those things? Why are you not regarding them as security threats and you regard Starlink as a security threat? There are institutions which we use, their systems, which are controlled by the American government. Starlink is not controlled by the American government, but we simply hate. So, Team Zimbabwe, ZANU PF itself, this party is 100% in panic. They no longer know what to do. They are just doing everything to make sure that they punish the people of Zimbabwe. But it will not save the situation. So hanzi panapa Starlink is available now in Zim. It's available in Zim on roaming, not legally. Legally, Starlink is not yet available in Zimbabwe. People are using roaming. That is the reason why you see people using Starlink. So they will go to Zambia, buy their kids, register there in Zambia, and put it on roaming. Let's have both. National security threat mean when ZANU PF feel threatened. And I hear you, but for balance, the Chinese don't provide the sovereignty whose importance you clearly depict as their own provider. If registered, will definitely steal information about and from Zimbabwean institutions of all levels. Yes, I agree. And Makapata, let's go for G60, lesser of the two evils while we develop our own capacity. G60 is not lesser of the two evil. Enjoy not worry more evil because it will be controlled by the Chinese government. Other than a company which is not part of the American government, Starlink is different because Elon Musk is different altogether. Okay, cold door moves. Why can't you do the same with iPhones, Google, Yahoo, and this X application you are using? Why can't those politicians send their children to China rather than Harvard? Yes, the government of Zimbabwe is using X right now. They have X handles, which they are operating from. They have my Gmail, which they are operating from, sending sensitive information and emails using Gmail. They are not talking anything about security threats. They are using Facebook. They are using my phone, an Android system. They are which is being controlled from the US, because for your Android account to work, you need to register it with a Gmail account, which means almost every person who is doing so, your information, you are selling your information to the Americans. Why are you not using your brains? So I don't know how these people think, but I believe that we are being misled by people without a clue. People who just think about power retention and nothing else. And will not allow purpose to rule this country. Okay. The citizens of Zimbabwe must never use Chinese internet. They spy on civilians and sell the data to the government. It's better to use Starlink on roaming. At least Elon Musk respects privacy and Starlink is not state-owned. He is South African, zvokuti American mazwana kupi, ma-China bootlickers. Okay. So, guys, I don't know what you think in the comment section. Please let us continue to have this conversation.